With King's Court, a gainer and a draw card, it's possible to create a looping situation where you repeatedly gain and play these three cards until you pile all three out of the supply. While this isn't a combo in the sense that you can ignore the rest of the board, it is a very strong interaction that creates an instant game-ending threat that you should build towards in an engine, like how you would play with King's Court and Bridge. Let's break down how the loop works. We need our gainer to be able to gain King's Court and the draw card and itself. And our draw card actually just needs to say +1 card or some equivalent. We need to start with our deck drawn. Start the combo with a King's Court deck King's Court, so we get the King's Court 3 cards. The first card will be the gainer, gaining King's Court, the gainer itself, and the draw card. Then play the draw card, drawing 3 gain cards. The third King's Court play will be on the freshly gained King's Court that we just drew, starting the loop all over again. This lets you continue till one of the 3 components of the loop piles out. Generally, the rest of the engine should have enough coins and gains at this point to simply 3 pile for a win. The reason why this combo doesn't occur every time you have King's Court and a gainer on the board is that there's very few gainers that can actually let you gain King's Court directly, since most gainers have a cost limit. The simplest situation where you can gain King's Court is with cost reduction. With enough cost reduction, even Workshop will be able to serve as the gainer. The way to play the combo here is exactly as described previously. You just need to get your cost reduction in play first. The other most common case is with remodelers, since those don't have a limit on the cost of the gain card. We need our gainer to net cards in deck though, not just modify them, so we'll need to do something extra to let them gain things instead. Fortress is a pretty direct way for this to work. I'll present 2 more less obvious ways, though this isn't exhaustive. You can certainly tweak this to work with gold gainers, or horse gainers, or even a more complicated setup. Develop is an interesting remodeler, since you gain 2 cards instead of 1, so you actually do net cards. The way it works means that we need costs to line up in a particular way for it to work as our gainer. We need our draw card to cost 5, and for it to also draw at least 2 cards. Lab is an example of such a card. We also need some 4 costs to exist in the kingdom, though it can even be potion. Note that if we trash a 4 cost, then a 5 cost, then a 6 cost, we net ourselves a 3 cost, which will be develop, a 7 cost, which will be the King's Court, and a 5 cost, which will be our draw card. Even better is that develop top decks to gain cards, so we don't even need to draw our deck first. All we need to do is line up King's Court, develop, our draw card, and the 3 cards to be trashed, and we can just loop from there. Displace is another remodeler that works. Since we don't trash the cards, rather we exile the cards. So as long as we're displacing the King's Court, Displace, and the draw card into each other, we can constantly be discarding the exalt cards and redrawing them. This is a little more complicated to play out than the previous examples. So keep in mind this rule of thumb. You want to gain King's Court, Displace, and the draw card on each iteration of the loop, and you want no more than one of them to be in exile by the end of each loop.